Hi everyone, Evie here, the Greek Goddess of Great Reading. Today I'll be reviewing Lies We Tell Ourselves by Robin Talley. Sarah Dunbar is one of the first Black students to attend the previously all-white Jefferson High School. An honor student at her old school, she is put into remedial classes, spit on, and tormented daily. Linda Hairston is the daughter of one of the town's most vocal opponents of school integration. She has been taught all her life that the races should be kept separate but equal. Forced to work together on a school project, Sarah and Linda must confront harsh truths about race, power, and the fact that they may be falling for one another. Boldly realistic and emotionally compelling, Lies We Tell Ourselves is a brave and stunning novel about finding truth amid the lies, and finding your voice even when others are determined to silence it. Now, I'm sure you can imagine knowing somebody like me. I am the president of a feminist advocacy group at my college, so this book was very dear to my heart because even though I advocate for women's rights, I also advocate for equality, and this book really spoke to me, and the LGBT themes that were also prevalent in the novel were very interesting as they unfolded. So the character of Sarah is a very strong character. You would have to be forced into the situation by her parents to be sort of a pawn in the game of integration, because I don't think Sarah, for the most part, actually wants to be put on the front lines for the sake of integration of the schools, but her parents have kind of forced her and her sister to, and have kind of manipulated them in a way to make them think that what they are doing is important for their cause. And while it is, it needs to be their choice. And for a while, Sarah believed it was her choice, but throughout the novel, you see her kind of struggling with what she thought was originally her choice, but what she is now figuring out was actually just her parents imposing their choices onto her. And she kind of couldn't tell the difference, and everything got muddled, and she ended up at Jefferson High School in remedial classes and getting bullied all day, every day. Despite all that, I really loved her. She was such a strong advocate for her community and her race, even though she was struggling with the fact that she didn't want to do this just because her parents made her. Linda, on the other hand, not that she's a bad character because she is one of the main characters. That also doesn't mean that main characters can't be bad characters. Linda, obviously, I would imagine most people when they read this book hate her at the beginning because she is a white girl at Jefferson who has all those ideas and those thoughts in her head that the races should be kept separate and that we are not the same, we have nothing in common, and just her thoughts. But these thoughts all came from somewhere. She's not necessarily to blame for her beliefs. Her father is, her parents are. Her father is a very influential man in the community, but at a certain point, especially when she works on this school project with Sarah, she kind of needs to realize, and it just took her a really long time to realize, that she is wrong about the things that her father said. But even amidst her coming to terms with that, she still only attributes the fact that maybe Black people and white people are the same. She only attributes that fact to Sarah, not to anybody else in the Black community. And it's because she likes Sarah, and she's just trying to make excuses for liking her, even as a friend. And she's just coming up with the excuse that Sarah is different. And while I understand that all her beliefs can be completely shattered and have her come to terms with the actual reality of the situation she was in, it still bothered me a lot whenever she would spout some mumbo jumbo crap that her father had instilled in her since she was young. Reading this book was so hard. Even the first few chapters from the point of view of Sarah was so hard to read. I know I never would experience what Sarah experienced and what any other Black person living in that time or even living now, because it still happens to some extent, and I'll never understand what that's like, but it was so hard to read the stuff that people were saying to her and her friends from school, and the stuff that they did to her, spitting on them. It was just so terrible. But I think that's what Robin Talley wanted to do. She researched this entire book. You would have to research this history to be able to fully create a story around it. And she demonstrated quite accurately what did happen back when they tried to integrate the Black and the white communities together at schools. And it was not pretty, and it was hard and painful and embarrassing, and so many other things for the Black community who had to go through that, like Sarah and her friends. And Robin Talley wanted to show that to the readers and make us feel something, and she definitely did, because I was pretty much kind of crying and tearing up in the first few chapters already. I definitely enjoyed the sort of extra level that Robin Talley put in this book, as opposed to just the white and versus Black sort of conflict. Also the conflict of being a lesbian in 1959. Back then, there was a show I watched recently where they time traveled back to, I believe it was 1958, and this one man said, "Oh, 1958 was so great. It's so nostalgic and it's so quaint and so simple." And then this other woman who was with him from the future, she said, "Yeah, it's great if you're a man and you're white and you're straight." And this book definitely spoke to that. Being in 1959 must have been so hard for anybody who wasn't straight and conventional. When the author portrays this in the book, it's just another level that's so deep and complex, and Linda and Sarah don't even understand. They don't really know what's happening, and Sarah thinks it's a sin, and Linda probably along the same lines. But it was great how they could come together eventually and sort of still think to themselves that maybe this is right, and God doesn't hate me for this that feels so right to me must be right according to God as well. Kind of what goes through Sarah's head, because she's struggling a lot with the fact that she thinks this is a sin. And I like the transformation that happens, the thoughts that start off as her being very shameful and ashamed of what she's done and what she's thinking and feeling, and then kind of progressing along to accepting herself for who she is, and that this is a part of her and that God will love her despite that. I love when religion is like promoted for good and not manipulated. It's great. And the book had a bit of manipulation of religion in terms of Black people not being good enough. Don't even want to think about that time period, but it was really well portrayed in this book, and I highly suggest, if you guys haven't picked up Lies We Tell Ourselves by Robin Talley, please do so. You will really enjoy it. I certainly did. And if you have read it, let me know what you guys thought about it in the comments below. The next book I'll probably be reviewing is called Touch the Sky by Mary Dawn and Christina Lee. I'm part of the blog tour for it because it's a new book being released. It's on my Kindle, so I don't have like a hard copy, but so far it's really good. And I look forward to getting that out to you guys hopefully soon, because I'm supposed to have it up by Tuesday. We'll see how that goes. My Twitter, Instagram, and website are linked in the bio below. Hit subscribe if you guys like what you see and want to see more videos by me. I'm Evie, the Greek goddess of great reading, and until next time, keep reading.